You know who this is. It's the Southern River Band, the boys out of Thornley. We had them in studio at BackChat during the week. A couple of bloody legends. Pat and Cal came in, taught us everything we need to know about music, about style. Tell you what, Cal could have taught you a thing or two about dress sense, Mark Reddings. Purple jumpsuit, high top white Nikes. I reckon you could have pulled it off back in the day. Perhaps not now, but it was great to meet them. You are on the Shelter FootyCast. G'day, Skate. How are you?
Hello, Scully. Yes, well, to be honest with you, when it comes to music this week, and you're going to laugh at this, but not quite in the same genre as the Southern River Band, but I've been a little bit flat because the lady that I grew up with a massive crush on, I had a poster of her on my wall. I know you weren't born. You can give me as much stick as you want. But
no, I'm not going to
the great ONJ, Olivia Newton-John.
Yes.
And I was thinking to myself last night, I watched Grease with my girls, and I thought, yep, she was a hottie back in the day. We loved her. And you know what? She raised a lot of great money for breast cancer as well. So the great lady is no longer with us.
That was the fashion Cal was rolling with. It would have fitted right in with... That's what he's doing. So I think maybe it's a bit of a shout-out to Olivia Newton-John.
Absolutely. And, yeah, that was... but I can tell when I walked in here that you are still on a high, having had the boys in here. So fantastic that you're on that sort of...
The boys are Thornley, and I bloody love it. They got some gigs coming up. They're playing with the Darkness on a national tour coming up. And do you know who the Darkness is?
I have zero idea. I mean, really, give me,
they're a huge rock band out of the UK, and the boys are supporting them, so it's a big deal for them.
The Darkness.
Yes, I'm going to take Mark Reddings down there. The Southern River Band boys, if you are listening, just get a couple of backstage passes ready for Mark Reddings, because we're going to give him a world awakening, take him down to the Astor Theatre in October. Now, we are on the Shelter FootyCast. We do a preview, a review, Mondays and Thursdays, West Australian theme, all brought to you by Shelter. If you want to find us over at socials, jump onto Shelter FootyCast. Send us an email. We've got a couple to get to at the end of this show. footycast@shelterbrewing.com.au. Watch us on YouTube. Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. This is by Shelter, born and brewed in Busselton. Big night Friday night coming up. The Shelter FootyCast. It's the primetime show of the year at the Federal Hotel. Mark Reddings, Will Schofield heading up a Derby preview.
Yeah, Derby 55, and Tommy Cole, Lee Spur, going to have a chat with us as well about what's going to happen in what could well be the most one-sided Derby in recent... Well, we've had
the last one just gone was pretty bloody one-sided.
So we haven't had too many really good Derbies in the last 5 to 10 years. Have there been any really good ones that stood out? I mean, I know Ballas had a shot for goal after the siren at Subi, but
that was a while back.
The best one at Optus Stadium, I don't think there has been one. There's been nothing that's really...
It was the Gaff Brayshaw one.
That was...
I know that was around that, but was that a decent game? Or was that... No, that was done and dusted. It was a terrible game.
It was only... And to be honest, it was only an incident like that had any... You could remember out of the match. It was, we've had dud derbies for a long time.
Just make sure you get down to the Federal Hotel in Fremantle. It's right in the middle of Freo. Great venue down there. There's going to be Shelter beers. Apparently there's a meat raffle. Skeet will be wearing his best outfits. If you want to get down there and check that out, make sure you get down there. We're going to kick things off about 5:30 kickoff. A bit of a chat with the boys, and it'll be good fun. Come down and have a chat.
Looking forward to it.
Now, let's get to the big moments of the round. Josh Kennedy retires, and I'm not talking Josh J. Kennedy of the West Coast Eagles. I'm talking Josh P. Kennedy of the Sydney Swans. He's in a different realm or a different position. Josh Kennedy of the West Coast Eagles have done what he's done. We've spoken a lot about him, but Josh P. Kennedy, I've actually got a pretty long connection with him. He played for Xavier College in the APS. This is how good he was. We had to tag him in a grand final. One of our kids, good player, but as a role player, Skate, went to Josh Kennedy, who was just the best player ever. He looked like he does now, and we were in year 12. Shut him out of the game, and we actually won. And since then, he's gone and done what he's done. He's gone to Hawthorn as father-son, on to Sydney and been an incredible player. Almost got to the 300 games, and he hangs up the boots, a champion of the Sydney Swans.
Absolutely, and off the back of that, I mean, he comes. You talked about the father-son. He's got such a famous family. The DNA going through the genetics of his family and football family. Now, he's obviously had hamstring injuries and issues recently, but he hasn't totally given up hope of getting back for the back end of the Sydney Swans campaign. They might have another 7 or 8 weeks left. And
right.
Not saying that, look, I'm not 100% sure that he's going to be fixed with his hamstring by then, but I don't think he's completely ruled out playing again this year. But Sydney would have to go pretty deep.
So that was news to me. So I'm glad I've actually spoken to you about that, because I watched his retirement video. I was quite emotional.
Look, all things being equal, it's unlikely, but
Right, so you're not hanging the boots up. He'll be around the club and he's not walking away.
I think he'd love to just see if he can get himself.
You'd kick yourself if you did that and your hammy felt good and they're in a grand final and someone in his position goes down with an injury in the prelim.
Yeah, I mean, if he was the Medi sub in a grand final. I mean, anyway, it's long shot, but I don't think he's, unlike Josh Kennedy from West Coast, I think there's still a prospect. There's a possibility.
Okay, very good. He's been a terrific player. I think it was something like players in finals to have had 15 plus contested possessions. He sits double more than anyone in the history of the game. Like, just an incredible player when it mattered, like in finals, contested ball, pig, basically. So he goes out an absolute champion. It's Derby week, as we spoke about. It's bloody Derby week. Does the city change with Derby week, or do you think the disparity in teams over the last 5 years has meant that derbies aren't becoming as exciting as they once were?
No, it's as boring as bats, let's be honest. It is. It's been as boring because of that reason. If this was first versus second or fourth versus fifth, there'd be a great buzz around the town. Optus Stadium, 55,000, Saturday night game, two really good sides. But we haven't had teams on the same trajectory for a while, have we?
What do we need, though? Because I remember when the Carr brothers used to go at Cousins, like West Coast were a far better team at stages then.
Yeah, but Fremantle was still 06 were prelim finalists.
But there's no longer the hatred in my, that the teams don't hate each other enough. Justin Longmuir, he's coached half the boys at West Coast. He's now, a lot of people respect him as a coach. Maybe there's too much respect and mateship going around. Maybe we need a bit of angst.
Well, then on a serious note, the only angst in the more recent times was the Andrew Gaff, Andrew Brayshaw.
And they were great mates.
And that was one. So that didn't really carry on. Although Gaffy will probably get booed on Saturday night,
no doubt.
Again from Freo fans.
You'd expect nothing less.
No, well, yeah, exactly. But no, the Derby. Look, let's be honest. We'll talk about it shortly, but it's more about what Fremantle can do from here on.
I'll tell you what they can do. I'll tell you what. Hey, Flag, you like this?
No, it's good. It's actually better than the Josh Kennedy shirt I saw Carl wearing on the weekend.
Didn't Carl look strange with his white hair and his white t-shirt?
I thought he looked like a vanilla ice cream with the white hair, white t-shirt. It was like a cone. And you know what the other thing is? He had his t-shirt on, the Josh Kennedy t-shirt on, when he walked into the 6PR commentary box, back the front. I swear.
I was there. I thought he was wearing the big thing on the front. He said, Carl, that's a tag hanging out under your chin, mate. So we had to swap it around. I've got my flag mantle jumper on. If you can't see it and you're just listening, backchatpodcast.com.au/merch. If you're a Fremantle fan and you're listening and you don't seriously think that Fremantle are a serious contender, then I think you're kidding yourself. Mark Reddings might try to talk you down off the ledge and he just wants one finals win. They're the real deal this year. We're going to get into the West Coast Freo preview right now. There are some other big issues coming around. Tim Kelly gets suspended. Paddy Cripps will challenge his appeal. So
tomorrow.
He'll appeal the appeal.
Yeah, he'll go from the tribunal, appeal. It'll cost, another 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is. But that is how desperate Carlton is. And they're going to use, if they did already last night, the Willie Rioli case with Matt Rowell and the fact that there were a lot of similarities with that. In this case, I just have concerns that because he left the ground, it wasn't a marking contest, left the ground, and the player Archie went off because of concussion, that will always be a black mark against Cripps. Now, I don't think there's anything malicious by any means, but I just know what the AFL thinks.
Yeah, I would like to see this not reported, but the fact that it has been and then it's been appealed and they've still given him 2, I don't really see what the actual double appeal is about. They don't have much to lose. I mean, they've lost their best player for the last 2 weeks before finals that they have to win. So you can see why they've done it. I just don't see what case they're going to mount, but maybe they've got an unbelievable legal team coming off Lygon Street somewhere. I don't know. Fremantle play West Coast in the Derby this week, so it's not a West Coast preview, Fremantle preview. It's both of them going head-to-head. It's a Fremantle home Derby, and thank God it is, to be honest, because this is David Mundy's last Derby. You'd think there'll be a big deal made about the big man for this occasion. It's a special occasion for the Freo Footy Club.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a bit of a farewell tour for him in some parts, isn't it? And look, there is a chance, not discounting what you're wearing tonight, the flag mantle top, that this could be his last game at Optus Stadium. I mean, if they drop a game, say in round 23, and other results go, they might not play a home final, which, anyway, let's hope that this is the last Derby, as we know, and they get a chance to push for that top 4. In terms of selection, we know that Matt Taberner's again injured, which is a concern. What do they have to do to? I mean, Josh Tracy hasn't played enough footy or kicked enough goals in the last 6 to 8 weeks. Sam Switkowski, obviously a different type of player, but with wet weather forecast, perhaps he is an option.
He'll come back in because he's one of their best forwards.
Yep.
Bailey Banfield, who we've spoken about a fair bit, he seems to have been Medi-sub 10 weeks in a row, I feel. He can play taller, but he's not a key position forward, is he? I haven't really seen much chat of it in the media, or maybe I've missed something, but Lloyd Meek, during the middle part of the year, gave them something. Sean Darcy played a lot more forward, and because Lloyd Meek's a very competent backup ruckman, he's probably the best backup ruckman in the competition. I could see him coming in, Sean Darcy reducing his time and spreading forward a bit, because he's a really good, he's a big contested marker, he's a big target. That's all you need, so Lob has someone else, just so it's not predictable. Oh, we'll just put both our tall players over by Lob because we know the ball's going over there because their second tallest is Bailey Banfield.
Yeah, and I think if you're talking about the Meek-Darcy scenario, that is exactly how it should work with Darcy. Maybe 60-40 Meek in the ruck or 70-30, because he can do the grunt work. And look, he can probably get around. Look, Nick Nat's not getting around the ground. He might even play on the weekend. There's the question mark, because I think the short turnaround or the shortish turnaround, he didn't look as if he was moving 100% on the weekend. So I'm not sure the ruck situation's a major concern, but try to, as you say, give Lob a chop out, and Darcy might be that player, could be the best option.
Yeah, it might be. What about the Glendenning Allen medal? Is it a Freo player guaranteed? I mean, are you looking at this as a big Freo win, are you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I do think so. I think it's a 7-8 go. I mean, even just the emotional high that West Coast went through last Sunday, and then they come back, and apart from anything, they've got to find 8 goals that they didn't have. They're not going to have.
That's a very good point.
And Josh Kennedy, who's going to replace him? I wonder whether Bailey Williams plays more forward this week.
But if Nick that doesn't play, that won't happen.
No. I mean, what are the options for them?
Hugh Dixon apparently, has been rumoured to come in, but I mean, he's a additional draft pick that they added just before the season. So
yeah, with all due respects to Hugh,
well, but no one's at Josh Kennedy.
No, exactly. But Freo's defence would be licking their lips. Hugh Dixon, who hasn't, comes in and they're thinking this is, they'll eat him up. With let's be honest, Brendan Cox, all Australian contender. Alex Pearce has been outstanding. Lukey Ryan, they've got an elite defensive unit. So I just can't see West Coast kicking a score, and I'm not sure how important percentage is going to be for the Dockers, given they had a draw. They've got a draw in there, but they could really put a score on, I think, on the weekend.
Maybe we see Josh Rotham in the ruck. I didn't mind him in the ruck, both at waffle level and AFL level. So if Nick Nat doesn't play, let's give a tip for the game. You pick Freo. I'll pick Freo, but I think it's going to be closer than you might think.
Well, what do you think? What do you think is a reasonable? I'm thinking 7 to 8 goals.
I speak about mindset a fair bit, and I know sometimes you don't like the way I use it, but West Coast, if we look at West Coast mindset, what motivation do they have? They've just come off the back of, one of their greatest players retiring, and they clearly got themselves up for that, still couldn't win. How do you still try to win? It doesn't matter if you're a bad team, you're still going to go out and try to win. So how do they motivate themselves to that? It would be to screw Fremantle's finals chances. That would be on the top of the whiteboard. If we win, Fremantle, it stuffs their season.
And also, they win, they almost certainly avoid the wooden spoon.
Yeah, I just think it's almost like a negative thing, the wooden spoon.
True.
Like,
possibly.
Don't finish last. Whereas beat a good team, put some relevance between our, last 8 weeks of good work. Can we put not a cherry on top, but can we actually give a tick of approval? But I don't think they get it done in that sense. No. Who wins the best on ground? Glendenning Allen medal.
The romance side of me?
Yes.
David Mundy. Yes. I mean, that'd be lovely, wouldn't it? I mean, you're thinking Fremantle player, aren't you? That's the automatic conclusion you come to. I mean, Andy Brayshaw's had an outstanding year. But, yeah, I'm thinking one of the mids. I mean,
who likes playing against West Coast? Caleb Sarong.
He does.
I reckon Caleb Sarong wins it. You take Mundy. Well, I mean, we can both say Brayshaw, but let's go something different.
Yeah, and Will Brodie. Will Brodie's the player who's, I think he's...
Would you like to take Brodie instead of Mundy?
Yeah, I mean, Brodie's...
I just want a pick for the Glendenning Allen medal.
I'll take Will
People
Brodie.
Listen to your opinions.
I'll take Will Brodie just because
closely.
of the conditions. I think he'll be very prolific on the weekend.
Very good. Watch West Coast win and a West Coast Eagles player win. You and I have just backfooted.
There's no chance this week, by the way.
Flag mantle. That's exactly right. There you go. West Coast and Fremantle. You are on the Shelter FootyCast. Southern River Band. Just every time I hear them now, I get a bit excited. It's very good. St Kilda v Brisbane, Friday, 5:50. This will be the game being played at the Federal Hotel while we go through a bit of a derby preview and have a bit of fun while we're down there. It's a big game. Brisbane need to win this to maintain some sort of top 4 credential challenge. And St Kilda, if they believe that they can play finals, need to win this game no matter what.
Yeah, no question. St Kilda, I've been a bit harsh on them at times, but against Geelong, they didn't show me enough to suggest they can challenge a top 4 side, and that's what Brisbane should really be. I mean, their Achilles heel has only been playing at the MCG, and I think Marvel Stadium, they'll be too good. They've got the numbers on the board. They did fade in the last quarter against Carlton, which is a bit of a concern, I guess. But and look, St Kilda lose Hanbury, subbed out. He could play this week, but they're just not doing enough, St Kilda. And again, I know they've got the chance to play finals, but I just think Brisbane's class and Lachie Neale, again, really good last week. They win.
Brisbane play Melbourne in the final round of the season. So
Gabba.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, right. Well, so they need to win this game, but at least they're at the Gabba. I thought they might have been at the MCG. Paddy Ryder, he's 3 games or goals away. I feel like it's not games. It's definitely goals away from 200 if he comes back into the team, because he hasn't been playing, has he?
No. And the question is what happens with him next year. Rowan Marshall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
He enjoys that responsibility in the ruck. But give me St Kilda. I mean, where do you see them? They've gone and they've traded in players. They just, for me, I'm not sure that they're in the middle of nowhere.
This is the sort of game that I can see St Kilda winning. Absolutely, it is. I can see St Kilda coming out in a game that they have to win, in a game that no one thinks they will win, at home, Marvel Stadium. Brisbane doesn't play well at the MCG, but I can't remember Brisbane playing many good games at Marvel Stadium. I don't think they're a good travelling team, Brisbane.
No, you're right.
And they aren't the team that we've seen the last couple of years. They've got some deficiencies. I think St Kilda, enough for me to pick them. I think St Kilda are going to win.
I laughed.
You had a really good laugh last week, and then you got absolutely shot. You got given the sword.
I didn't laugh at your selections, but no, I got towed up. I'm tipping Brisbane. Brisbane should be winning this.
Well,
You're hoping St Kilda wins also for Fremantle.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah,
fair enough.
Did you say Flagmantle or Fremantle? Flagmantle. Western Bulldogs v GWS, Saturday, Marvel Stadium, early morning, double back-to-back at Marvel. Hopefully the cleaners are in there late on the Friday night. Should be a win for the Bulldogs, I think, given that GWS has fallen a little way away, although they were good last week against Essendon after a big spray by their coach. But that's one of those ones, it's like when the new coach comes in and everyone lifts for a week. You can't just keep spraying players and getting the same results. So GWS, I think, will go down to the Dogs. This will go into the fact that I think the Dogs are going to play finals. They're going to have to come from a little way back to do that. It'll depend on Carlton and Richmond's results. What do you think? Western Bulldogs, GWS, it's a home game for the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, Toby Green out for the season. That's a fairly significant...
What happened there? He got injured?
He must have got injured. Didn't see the game because I was calling some waffle footy, but he's out for the season. Dan's just going to check that out for us. I agree with the Giants there. And look, they've got players that I think are already looking towards next year and where they're going to be, because they're going to lose some players just because of their salary cap and where they're at. So the Bulldogs have been pretty disappointing, got to say.
They're in 10th. They're 1.5 games out of the 8.
Yeah.
With 2 games to go.
And they made the grand final last year.
Yep.
So they've been disappointing.
Yep.
They have been disappointing for grand finals from last year. They're leaking a lot of goals as well this year. The defence hasn't been as good as what I thought. Their midfield still stacks up. But, yeah, look, I think the Bulldogs win this. In fact, they should be winning it pretty comfortably. But that just keeps the flicker alive, as opposed to me thinking, like you before, a few weeks ago, thought they're going to really push deep. I just don't think it's possible now, Scully.
They're in the bottom 6 sides for scores against in the competition, which usually doesn't stack up, unless you've got a really good attack, which when they've been good, they have. They've relied on that midfield strength to kick to their forwards who get on top, and then it's a high-scoring affair. They just haven't had that, and that means their defence gets exposed a little bit more. I think they win, which puts them in a spot with a game to go. It's not the only thing which is where you don't want to be as a player or as a team. It's not it's not their own destiny.
Out of their control.
Yeah, right. So I think we both picked them though, right?
Yep.
Adelaide v North Melbourne. Did you find out what happened to Toby Green over there, Chuck? Okay, very, very good. Dan's, we'll hear from you in about 30 minutes. Adelaide v North Melbourne, Saturday, Adelaide Oval, in one of the...
Reverse blockbuster.
Like,
It's just a crap game, isn't it? It's just. And look, I've got to be honest. I thought Adelaide was really good last Sunday. I was impressed with them, and I know the Eagles are struggling, but I was actually first time I actually had a really good look at them this season, and I was impressed by Berry. I thought he was really good. Fogarty, he could be anything.
Yeah, I know.
They've got the bones there to be, and Rory led, and he came 200 in the first 5 minutes before the Eagles even wiped the sleep from their eyes. He's got 2 goals next to his name.
I had word. Actually, I won't say that. That's probably not something I should reveal. Ben Cunnington, mate, don't press me either.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that it's like, it's school. Yeah.
I'll just say, like, I don't think Laird potentially should have played that well.
You're blaming someone for the Eagles.
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Could potential return. I think it has been confirmed late tonight. Ben Cunnington.
Great story.
Yeah.
2 bouts of testicular cancer. And if North is not going to lift for a bloke that has gone through hell and back, I'm assuming, in the last couple of years, and it's a wonderful story for him. But even that being said, I don't think they can get the job done at the Adelaide.
It'll just be the fact, getting out in the field and like incredible effort, and just thinking about his family and people around him and what that means. I think it'll actually be a more than football game.
Which is exactly right. And that's what North will be trying to hope just invigorates the group. By the way, Will Hamill, missing because of a concussion, he's still got a fair bit of imprint from Jack Darling's knee or head. Oh, he got smashed. And he just shows you how tough this game is. Dan has come up with an answer.
Toby Green is getting thumb surgery.
Okay.
That's all the information I have for you.
Okay. What are you laughing at?
I don't know.
Tom Thumb.
It just
You like that? Tom Thumb is okay.
Please continue.
You haven't heard of Tom Thumb?
No, I have now. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry.
I'll tell you where Tom Thumb comes from.
Oh, if you've heard about much about it, tell me all about it.
I will. You keep going, bugger.
Okay, mate. Move down, please. Next game, please, Dan. Thank you very much. Gold Coast v Geelong, Saturday, 2:35, Metricon. Okay. You're telling me there's a chance, Gold Coast, traditionally very strong up there at Metricon. Are they the team to end Geelong's 11-game streak?
By the way, Tom Thumb is a character of English folklore. Tom was no bigger than his father's thumb, and his adventure included being swallowed by a cow, tangling with giants, and becoming a favourite of King Arthur. Tom Thumb, may you rest in peace.
Did you?
That's true. That's a fact. Tom Thumb. Growing up, I've heard of it. Anyway.
May you rest in peace. You bloody lost me, I tell you what. Are they the team to beat Geelong's 11-game win streak? Metricon, Gold Coast?
No. Gold Coast, they burnt me last week big time. I'm off them. But this is the type of game that you can see the Cats just...
Last time at Metricon, 23-point losers.
No, exactly. So, difference here is I think they've got, obviously their second last round, they've got the minor premiership all but wrapped up.
Yep.
They win this, I think they do, don't they?
Selwood, Dangerfield come back in. Big Mark, the most flexible man in the competition. What's his last name?
Oh, Blixabs.
Thank you very much. He'll be back.
He could win their first and best, seriously.
Again, he's won it before.
Yeah.
He's a previous winner. Mitch Duncan is rumoured to be resting, I believe. I did read that earlier today. So they do this, Geelong, and I don't think it's because they've got a really old team. I know people like that something people like to talk about. It is just in their DNA that they do think that resting players a few weeks out and then giving them a good run in. So they rested Selwood and Dangerfield last week. They're going to rest Duncan and maybe another couple of old people as well.
I was just going to say that Collingwood can still win the minor premiership if they win both games and Geelong drop 1 or 2.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, they're only one game back, Collingwood. But their percentage is 30 underneath.
Yeah, so they do.
31
Geelong
underneath.
need to lose 1 by a lot, or just
by a lot, you reckon? By around 200 points, Geelong will need to lose by.
Dan, our accountant out there, just getting his numbers together. Look, Gold Coast, they missed finals again. No,
I think there's some danger games. This is 2 weeks out from finals. These last 2 weeks, there will be some upsets. There always is. And then that team comes back and bounces back. I've been a part of teams that lose. As a player, you just take the foot off the accelerator a little bit.
I don't disagree with you here because Geelong, do they want to? Of course you want to win every game, but they make this, if they win this, that's 11 or 12.
12 in a row.
12, 13 potentially the following week. They beat the Eagles. Is that, it sounds stupid, is that a thing you want to carry into
I don't think so, but I just think the Brisbane St Kilda one, there's an upset coming, and the Gold Coast Geelong one. So I'm going to pick Gold Coast here because I picked St Kilda, and hopefully I'll get one of the two.
No, it's brave. Probably stupid, but brave as well.
Who are you picking?
I'm picking
Genius.
I'm picking Geelong because, well, it's like watching Winks against a second-rate runner at the moment. They are playing such good football that at the moment, if they keep playing that footy, they win every game they play.
Yeah, Geelong... heard a stat from our good friend David King. They lead scores from intercept, actually scoring the football, but they also lead stopping that statistic as well. So it really is a good ranking of attack versus defence.
Good mix.
Yeah, and so the comparison he gave, there hasn't been a team to lead both of those measures since 2005, which was not Sydney. There was a team that finished up the top of the ladder that year.
Well, West Coast didn't finish top of the ladder that year either.
No, so there was another team that led them both. It could have even been Geelong, maybe not. But Geelong this year lead both at the best attack in the game and the best defence. And he seemed to think they are unbeatable for the premiership unless a rare event happens, like centre bounce, a 5 or 6 goal centre bounce differential, or a forward stoppage differential where, you know, a small forward just gets off the leash and kicks 4 goals, or a big injury, something like that. If a game just goes normally, Geelong beats every team in the competition by a long, long way.
On paper, in theory. You know, I'm saying that because...
And what statistically they're showing. It's like, it's not even on paper. It's like the results they're putting out when they play a game of football and things go the way they should, they will win. But exactly as you say, that's not what happens in finals sometimes.
Exactly. I'm going for the Cats. You're tipping the Suns.
I'm tipping against, like you said, Winks, absolutely. Melbourne v Carlton, Saturday at the MCG, one of the biggest games of the round, this one. Carlton on the slippery slope, they lose their captain in Cripps. Big chance to drop out of the 8. We mentioned it last week. Now it's a reality. They play a side who's hunting for a top 2 spot. You know, they're in 3rd position on the ladder after a big loss to Collingwood last week. I don't think Melbourne's a side you want to be coming up against this week.
No, but by the same token, Melbourne's had some, forget the Fremantle game where they obliterated the Dockers, but they've had some sort of dips in matches where they've sort of not been able to maintain their control of the game, which seems a bit strange. But, yeah, I don't think Carlton's completely out of this one. Cripps makes it really tough, doesn't it? I mean, they're not playing good footy. They have to try and win one of the next 2 just to feel good about going into the finals.
It's really tough to see, that when they were playing good footy at the start of the year, it was back on the back of pressure and contested football and almost like a surge mentality, not a Richmond surge mentality, but it was winning the ball at the coalface. Like that is how, I know it's boring, but that's how good teams do it. They win the ball at the contest, they get it going their way, field position, defend behind it, but they're not getting it one in the middle of the ground, which is exposing a lot. They've got some young players. It means they're not getting the ball quickly to Mackay and Curnow. There's not one reason why Carlton aren't going bad. They're not, leaking so much defensively. It's not just one reason. It just all turns into a big form slump that I don't really see them getting out of. I'm picking Melbourne here, decently as well.
Yeah,
I don't see Carlton digging themselves out of this, even though there's so much at play.
Yeah, look, I think Adam Sard's been good. You're right, though. Cripps is a massive blow. Walsh has to stand up. They've got to find ways to beat that Melbourne midfield. I'm not sure they can. And you're right. I think the Demons, they will be hell-bent on giving themselves every possible chance going to the last game against Brisbane. They don't want to be dropping a match here and then going up to the Gabba trying to hold on to a top 4 spot, which if they lose their last 2 and Fremantle win their last 2, by my reckoning, they can take their spot in the top 4.
It's still going to be a huge game next week, Carlton-Collingwood, no matter the result of this. If Carlton win, Carlton's going to be a massive game. But if Carlton lose, it's pretty much going to be the last game of the weekend. Whoever wins, Collingwood probably top 2, Carlton make or break finals. So it's going to be 100,000 at the G with exciting. 2 huge rivals. You picking
Melbourne? Yeah, Melbourne.
Yeah, I'll take Melbourne too. I just don't see the potential in Carlton as I do Melbourne. I see them going to a new level if they have to. Richmond v Hawthorn Sunday, 10 a.m. at the MCG. Richmond need this one to stay in the hunt for finals. Hawthorn off a great win last week with Ben McAvoy playing a milestone game.
250.
He's retiring at the end of the season.
Yeah, he's announced his retirement at the end of the season. So that comes, obviously not this weekend, but next weekend. So he's been and ends as a captain after coming across from St Kilda. And the Saints, well, certain people at the Saints didn't want to lose him, and he's been such a great servant for Hawthorn, and that's a great career coming to an end.
It's a little bit like Josh Kennedy, the same thing at Hawthorn. I think, maybe people didn't want to lose him, and he goes on to captain the club over there. And McAvoy does the same thing. He's my age as well. Grew up with him, played Vic Country with Ben McAvoy. Very much a country lad. Good man, Ben. So it's been a great career. Congratulations. Richmond, their backline is in a little bit of trouble. They'll lose Vlaston. He's out this week. They lost Grimes for pretty much the season. So they're two really big cogs in that backline of theirs. So don't think that this is a lay-down misère for Richmond. Hawthorn, I know I pump Hawthorn up probably a little bit too much because I've got big belief in their coach and their system and that sort of stuff, but they have been inconsistent, I will give you that. But so have Richmond. I mean, that's why they're fighting for a final spot.
When you say, I don't think Richmond's been inconsistent, you look at their results, they've been thereabouts. They haven't.
Don't tell me they've been unlucky.
No, not unlucky, but they haven't been able to get across the line. There's probably 3 or 4 or 5 games where you think, geez, they should have won that. But no, I think you said something really important last week ahead of a game against Port Adelaide. Sometimes with no Vlaston, no Grimes as it was last week, they find players through the midfield that you go, don't really know how they've done it, but they just keep getting the ball forward and the Richmond style. Yeah. And it works. And look, again, I keep saying if they'll win this week, I think they'll beat Essendon, they're going to be very dangerous, albeit you don't want to lose 2 of your defenders on the eve of the finals. But if they can get to an elimination final, good luck playing them. Even here, if the Dockers host them in an elimination final, I'd be very nervous. But I think they're playing decent footy and good enough to beat the Hawks.
I don't see how Richmond misses finals if they win this game. I think Carlton loses their last 2, Melbourne and Collingwood. So they're out of finals if that happens, pretty much.
Yep.
As long as St Kilda or the Bulldogs hold their end of the bargain. And Richmond, if they lose this game, they may struggle to make finals. So maybe St Kilda and Western Bulldogs both leapfrog them.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Huh?
Yeah. Well, it's possible, but there's a lot of...
You don't like St Kilda, do you?
No. I think Richmond... You want to see 8 good teams in the finals, and I don't think... If you're going to line up Richmond versus St Kilda at the moment, one's clearly more dangerous, don't you think?
I just don't...
I don't like them, but just respect them.
Okay, I will give you that. Who are you picking?
Richmond.
Yeah, I'll take him too. Sydney, what?
No, I'm just looking at the next game.
Sydney Collingwood, Sunday, 1:20 SCG. I said the last 2 games back was one of the biggest games of the weekend. This is the biggest game of the weekend. Big top 4 clash. Collingwood chasing their 12th in the row. Who would have thought that one? Sydney also running hot. They've won 5 in a row. Heaney game 150, so there's a milestone game. We know that people like to get up for those. Sydney may or may not be hotter than Collingwood right now, but Collingwood beating Melbourne last week probably say, you know what, we're close to the most in form in the competition, right behind Geelong.
Absolutely. Look, these teams at the SCG, well, this is an afternoon game. Normally it's a night game between these two. They have some epic matches. 12 in a row. Can you believe it with Collingwood? And I'm not sure how often you've tipped him in those 12. I reckon
probably not many.
7 or 8. Yeah. But yeah, there's been a few like last week. They just find a way. And I ask you this again: anything under 2 goals, that they are the masters at winning close games, and that is something that you can't hold against them. I think Sydney probably just playing good enough footy at home. And it's not going to hurt Collingwood to drop one, I don't think. It's not the end of the world if they do, because I still think they'll finish top 4.
I think Sydney will win too. They're my team. I'm absolutely pinning my hopes on Sydney right behind Fremantle merch, backchatpodcast.com.au/merch. There is still a little bit out the back there. Skeet, you almost tripped over it as you came in. Sydney v Collingwood. I take Sydney. Jamie Elliott has just re-signed with the football club, which is an interesting one, and because there is some contract talk at the Collingwood Footy Club. Grundy, DeGoey, Elliott was up, but I think he's just signed. So Grundy and DeGoey just out of interest. Do they keep them both, one or none?
I think DeGoey, if he stays sound off the field, I think he starts. I mean, he's buying in. I think Craig McRae is doing enough with him. This is coming from afar, but I think they'd like to keep him. But it's one more strike, you're out. So I think he knows where he's at with them. Grundy is a fascinating one because of the length of his deal. you just think, wow, that's a big impulse for the next club that takes him, and Collingwood having to pay possibly some of that. That's going to be interesting to see. They obviously think that Darcy Cameron is the guy to take them forward potentially.
But is it just is that just innuendo by the media? Because Brodie Grundy, how far back do we have to go before it was Grundy and Gorm were the best in the comp? And then no one, like daylight.
Yeah.
Was that last year or the year before?
It wasn't long ago. You're right. So it seems really strange that he's fallen out
That's
of
why
favour.
he's got such a big deal, because he was the most informed ruckman in the competition, and of course you'd sign that up. So is he just out of form and injured?
Well, he's injured. I think operation on his ankle from memory. So he's out for the rest of the season, which is a huge blow for him because they're, at least you'd think, going to play deep into September. And Jamie Elliott, well, I think he had a one-year deal on the table before he kicked that goal after the siren against Essendon. I think they got some GST and put 2 more on the top. God, he can play, can't he, when he's fit?
Yeah, I mean, he's always been a good player.
Yeah.
And a strange one at that. I played on him a little bit and like...
So you was direct opponent?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a strange one because you had to put someone taller on him because he doesn't play like a small forward because he jumps and he marks. He's a lead-up forward. But he's only, he's sort of like Toby Green. You have to play someone taller, but you have to be agile. You can't put a key defender on
Is he
them.
chirpy?
No, not at all. Very silent. Yeah. There's honestly not that many chirpy people in the AFL. There's really not that much chat. I think people would be surprised how little chat there is out there.
But there must be chat between teammates, obviously. But
between teammates.
But not between opposition sides.
Yeah, in terms
players.
of banter and not abuse.
Don't have
but,
time?
I think it's time and effort and there's too much going on.
Yeah.
Like I used to like doing it, but it wasn't like I did it. I was talking the whole time, like to my opponent. It would be, if something happened, I'd give someone shit or I don't know, there would be moments, but I certainly wasn't talking the whole game. So it's too hot in the kitchen.
No, whereas in cricket, you can stand at first. I reckon I'd be great at first slip. You just sledge Dan's batting, and I'd give him everything from first slip. And
we had David Boone on BackChat during the week, and he said I was a perfect short leg because my moustache used to just cover my mouth, and no one could quite lip read what I was saying, but the batsman could hear what I was saying, so the cameras could never pick up what he was doing. Essendon, who are we picking?
We're going to Sydney there.
Yeah, we're both.
Which means that Collingwood have got the happy knack, haven't they? So we're going for the home team.
Essendon v Port Adelaide Sunday at Marvel Stadium. Both these teams out of form. Essendon very poor against Giants. Port 4 losses in a row. Both seasons done and dusted. Is there anything to play for right here, or are we just going to brush over this game?
Let me just mention Michael Hurley because he was. This is if he plays. First game since 2020. He's had like this leg.
He almost lost a leg.
It was just the most horrendous situation. And he's played some VFL footy now. If he plays, I think, not saying in the same realm as Ben Cunnington, but it is a really courageous comeback from a bloke that you would acknowledge at his peak was one of the best defenders in the comp.
Yeah, and then could swing both ways as well. He could go forward and make a difference there too. So, yeah, certainly at his best, he was one of the great intercept markers and big spoiler and run and dash a little bit. So it'll be good to see him back in the game.
Yeah, Port have lost their past 4 in a row, and Ken Hinkley seems like he's going to go on next year as coach. Koshy should have come out and made some.
Imagine having him as your president. Seriously, if you saw his face pop up on TV, you'd just be switching the TV off.
Anyway, yeah, I like Ken because he comes out and he makes a statement or two. And I never interviewed him, never met him, but I actually quite like Ken Hinkley. So I hope that if he doesn't stay at Port, that he stays in footy because I think he's good for the game.
He's rumoured. I saw some ties with North Melbourne somehow. I saw some little tickles there.
Possibly.
Apparently, Alistair Clarkson read this, making a decision on some sort of coaching future in the next week.
There you go.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Giants or Kangaroos, that has to be his option, yeah.
Apparently, yeah. West Coast was being floated around there, but I don't think that's a possibility. That's it. That's done and dusted. Who are we picking?
Who's playing? Essendon.
Port Adelaide.
No, it is, it's been a long day. I'm going to go the Bombers.
Yeah, I'll get on board with you. So the rest of the bullshit picks I did up, that's on. At least I've cancelled one out that I won't be different to you. Game of the weekend, that's an easy one. Sydney Collingwood.
True.
It'll be a big game. I mean, the Derby will be big as well, but I think Sydney Collingwood will be a very good one. Now, we've moved to this part of the show here. PTI, we do a couple of statements. We'll take one side each. Flagmantle will make the top 4. I'll take this one first, Skeet. They're making the top 4, all right, and they're going to win more than one final. They're going to have a home final in the first or second week. if they finish in the top 6, they're guaranteed a home final. Top 4, you're guaranteed a home final in the first 2 weeks, one or the other. Or if you can win that first qualifying, you can end up in a prelim. If Fremantle can win a qualifying final in the first week and have a home prelim, I can't see them not making the grand final.
Jeez, you've gone from...
They'll make top 4, and if they get the qualifying final win, they will make the grand final.
Yeah, so they're winning the next 2 in your mind. So I'm saying to you that it's going to be really difficult because of Melbourne, who are currently, I'm looking at my phone here, they're half a game ahead.
Yep.
If they win the next 2, they can't get past them.
Yep.
And they obviously got Brisbane last up. And if Sydney win their next 2, which is very conceivable as well, in fact, that's very likely, then how do they get... That's a concern. You're very confident. And go back to the finals. If you finish 5th, you get a home elimination final, but it's a long road to get to a grand final from there.
So
it just doesn't happen often.
So you're telling me either Melbourne or Sydney have to lose one of the last 2?
Which is conceivable. More so Melbourne up at
Melbourne
up
to lose to Brisbane against Brisbane.
Yes.
At the Gabba. Fremantle win their last 2.
Just bear in mind, if Brisbane win their last 2, that's going to make it tough for you as well.
Yeah, I can see that actually.
I did Maths 4 at Trinity College, which means I was a complete numbskull.
I'm actually in a bit of trouble here.
You're in trouble, brother. But anyway, I'm hoping you're right because we want to see Fremantle get that opportunity.
I'll tell you what we do need for this to happen. Look, I will say I'm an honest man here, Scott. Yeah. My flag mantle sales are dependent on this happening, so I would like them to go very well.
Self-interest.
We're gonna need Sydney to lose to Collingwood and St Kilda, and St Kilda may play Sydney to play finals. They could be playing in the biggest game of their lives. So remember, I picked St Kilda to beat Brisbane.
They're only going to lose one game, Sydney. One game.
Okay.
And even if that's to Collingwood, all the better for you because then
we're in business.
Then you're back in business because West Fremantle wins their next 2. So I've done the sums for you.
Thank you very much.
I still don't think they'll get there, but
Thank you very much.
I enjoy watching you squirm.
Thank you for coming with an abacus to the show today.
Mate, you've given me more scenarios, hypotheticals, but no, I love your work.
Bulldogs will enter the 8 come finals. Western Bulldogs play finals.
No, they don't deserve to. They've been too inconsistent. No, they don't. Well, if you're not in the 8 now, I mean, you need a lot of luck, and there's a reason why you're not in the 8, in my mind.
I actually can't get the abacus out to be able to tell you why they're going to play. I think they will. I will just say that. I think they play. Don't give me the breakdown. I can't do it. Okay. Let's quickly do it. I think the Western Bulldogs.
They beat the Giants.
They win the next 2, right? That's no worry. So they win.
Who do they play around 23?
They play Hawthorn. So they beat them.
Yeah, they do.
No
You're
worries.
right there.
So they're on 48 points. Carlton lose their last 2, and that's how they make it. But then that sort of blows my Fremantle thing with the St Kilda thing. Look, I'm in trouble in one of those. Let's just hope Fremantle make the top 4.
Yeah, exactly. And whoever finishes 7th or 8th, that's...
and we can all wear the flag mantle gear down to Optus Stadium, backchatpodcast.com.au/merch. Now, after we go to the Federal Hotel this Friday night for the Shelter FootyCast preview, got a couple of emails to finish us off on, Skate. This is to the boys at the Shelter FootyCast. It's quite small writing. I'm going to do my very, very best to read this, unless you can blow that up.
There was a semi-final out at Swan Valley. There you go, or Swan View.
Semi-final out at Swan View. My mate and I would have a kick-to-kick pre-game with the kicks getting progressively harder and faster, which we did every week. A few pigeons were grazing close, but not that close. The coach called us in for the pre-game team lineup. I did a final kick, which was an absolute bullet daisy cutter. A pigeon at that moment decided to fly in. The blink of an eye, there was a puff of feathers in the air and what I thought was a dead pigeon rolling on the ground. Nothing I could do but run over to the coach. The crowd at Swan View, 50-plus people I might add, called me pigeon killer and heckled me every time I touched the ball or went near them. I was rattled that day, only finding out much later in the day that the pigeon didn't actually die. And we won the game. Brilliant.
That's a good yarn. I like that.
Very good.
You see a lot of that in cricket with batsmen hitting the seagull and they limp away or they...
R.I.P.
Yeah, exactly.
What about this one? Flying Ryan Senior, Darren Snotty Ryan. Can you see this picture, Skeet? Have a look at this one.
I've got it. Is he 40 what?
48 years old. This is Liam Ryan's father. playing down at Three Springs in the North Midlands Football League. I tell you what, I've seen a very similar photo that has yours truly, Will Schofield, underneath a flying Liam Ryan for Sudiaco. We're going to go back-to-back on socials with this. I think Liam Ryan Sr. has reenacted this. You can see where he's got it from.
Absolutely. And I know you texted Liam just to touch base with him. And what have you got so far?
Absolute donuts. You idiot. He's not even seen it. So
there you go.
We'll get an update next week on the show.
But he would have seen this or been told about this, and that's lovely. That's a great picture.
That's it. Done and dusted. What are we doing Friday night again?
I'm not getting on the gas. Got to drive, but I'm back on the shelf. I'll tell you what, I've had one during this. Genuinely, it is a very nice drop. I'm serious. I haven't had one for a little while because I've been abstaining, but no, that's a super drop. I'm looking forward to chatting footy with you and Spurry and Tommy Cole and watching some good footy.
Very good. So am I. Get down there. Federal Hotel, 5:30 kickoff, Friday the 12th. Shelter FootyCast night. Mark Reddings, Will Schofield will be there. See you down there.